So today I'm going to be reading an excerpt to you guys from the Aquarian Teacher. It's a textbook that we Kundalini Yoga teachers use when we're going through our training. But there's a section in here about the mind that I'd really like to share. I find it fascinating, and it's something I often share when I am teaching one-on-one or in the coursework that I do. All right, so let's go on. The mind itself does not stop. That is why a point of stillness is one of the essential tools you need to look into the mind. This is where special techniques like meditation, mantra, and breath control are needed. Using the mind to try and convince the mind to be still is like stopping a hurricane by blowing at it. There is too much going on. A further difficulty is that you use your mind to observe your mind. Just imagine two mirrors facing each other at a slight angle. If you put a candle in between and look into the mirror, you can see hundreds of candles, reflections upon reflections. The mind can reflect back on itself and create images within images, thoughts within thoughts. So essentially, this can be considered rumination or trying to solve a problem by thinking about a problem. Um, Typically, when we sit and try to examine our thoughts and examine our mind, we get pictures within pictures within pictures. It's like a never ending rabbit hole. The solution sometimes can be hard to find. However, when we become curious, widen our scope, so to speak, and use practices or tools like meditation and mantra, this is going to shift the way the brain is functioning. It's going to take us out of the sympathetic nervous system, which is the nervous system of cortisol, histamine, stress, fight or flight, and will put us in the parasympathetic nervous system, which sends blood to the frontal and prefrontal cortexes, creating more rational thinking, well-being, peace, the ability to see a greater perspective. Also, coming into the parasympathetic nervous system and balancing the mind takes us into a state of being where we are more open to all of the possibilities that the universe has to offer and more open to allowing them into our life. So, in other words, especially if you are a person with a practice of faith, if you are able to step into that faith piece, pray and ask for support, get into the parasympathetic nervous system using practices to still the mind and build the spirit, you might find that the way through is naturally created as you kind of step back, relax, and allow for more space, for more things to shift naturally. I hope that the next time you are ruminating on something or stewing, talking about the same problem over and over again, you can reflect back on this video and say to yourself, I might be creating reflections upon reflections and going into rumination, right? Rumination is what we do in our own minds. Co-rumination is when we ruminate with another person using our words, just kind of creating loops upon loops upon loops, reinforcing the patterning in the brain. That's the other thing that ruminating does, is it reinforces the way that you're already seeing something over and over and over again. It creates more rigidity in the brain. And what we want to go for is neuroplasticity. We want to go for the greater perspective. We want to be able to think and see, perceive in new ways, right? So we want to step out of the reflections upon reflections, go into meditation, mantra, prayer, expansiveness, peace, well being, to be able to create the space for the peaceful shift or the more natural shift. I hope you find this helpful.